In this video, I want to talk about cold cases and discernment. I woke up early today because I slept in the afternoon. Later, after I woke up, I made a live stream for you guys, then went back to sleep. So now I woke up early, I went into prayer, I made the Christ decorations as I always do in the morning, and something got me thinking. In the media, yes, we are we are influenced by the media, so we should address the media. In the media, often they talk about cold cases. It happens. Now, many don't notice it because they may not watch TV or they may not pay that much attention to what's offered besides mainstream news. But they talk about cold cases. What is a cold case? A cold case, it's a crime that happened often more than 3 years ago, sometimes more than decades ago, and now they want to solve the case. Now, when a crime happened yesterday, the evidence is still fresh. If someone was stabbed, there may be a knife somewhere with some blood on it. If the stabbing happened a month ago and it happened in public and now rain fell, now some of the evidence may have washed away. So the quicker you are at the crime scene, the bigger the success for solving the case. That's true. But that does not mean that it's not possible to solve a case decades later. It's possible and it happens. It's not only homicides. Sometimes people go missing. There are people that have been missing for more than 40 years. Such things happen. Look, about cold cases, whether it's a missing person or it's a homicide case, whatever the cold case is, use your discernment, believer. There is no such thing as a perfect crime. Because remember, we are spirit beings. So whatever we do, we also leave spiritual traces behind. If a psychopath stabs someone, then cuts the body in pieces and throws it away in the river, he may think that nobody's ever going to find it out. Well, a piece of the bone may be discovered 20 years later when someone is fishing. And then someone realizes, ooh, there was a homicide case. And besides that, the action of the killing itself releases intense toxicity into the environment that will affect the growth of the plants for decades. There is always going to be some trace left, whether spiritual or physical, about any type of crime that happens. There is no such thing as crime that cannot be solved or a perfect setup that can never be discovered. It doesn't exist. And even intelligent psychopaths make big blunders that will reveal that they're the ones that did it. So this video is not about teaching you all how to become detectives. I just want to encourage you, use your discernment. Anytime you hear about a cold case, then one thing you need to ask yourself, what is it that the community was hiding? Because think about it. Why do people kill? Very, very few people are thrill seekers, and that's why they kill. Such psychos are very few and very rare. Most people, when they kill, they do it because they want relief from something. There is something they don't want to face, and there's an individual who keeps reminding them about that something that they don't want to face, and that's why they want to get rid of the individual so that they can never be confronted anymore with the thing they're avoiding, Because as long as that individual is alive and around, they'll be challenged. And because they can't handle being challenged, they now want to exterminate that individual. First, they try to get rid of the individual. By other means, when that doesn't work, they take the individual's life so that they don't have to be confronted anymore. That is why people kill. But that killing doesn't happen in a vacuum, it happens in a community. So people around are aware that there is something that the perpetrator was hiding, or there's something that the perpetrator didn't want to be confronted with. The community is aware, at least, that something didn't add up. Often, in documentaries, and also in news reports about real crime, when the police or the news reporters ask the bystanders or the people from the neighborhood, they would confess, yeah, John was killed, but past months before he was killed, I sensed already that something bad was about to happen to him. Some of the people couldn't stand him. Some people were complaining about him all the time. So they knew that something was brewing. They knew that something was out of line, but they just didn't want to be bothered. So after the crime happened, it now becomes a shame for the community that they allowed something to come so far. So then they want to hide it. And that's how cold cases come into existence. When a community really wants something to be solved, they'll solve it. Now, there are exceptions when a case is complicated and people really don't know any better, but that's very rare. In general, when a community wants a crime to be solved, for real, they will find a way to solve it. Many even go to fortune tellers, and fortune tellers help them. There are even police corpses out there that use fortune tellers to help them solve crime. So if they have all the present day technology at hand and they also have the paranormal, why is it that there are still cold cases out there? I'm telling you why. There are things people are hiding. That is why you have cold cases. And apart from cold cases, I want to remind you, believers, that you should avoid confrontation with these worldly people. Avoid it. Even if they are wrong and it's obvious to everyone they are wrong, do not avoid confronting them as much as possible. Let me tell you why. A lot of the people that became homicide victims or they disappeared, nobody can locate them anymore. When you go into the situation before they disappeared or before they were killed, they often had a clash with someone about something, and they were right. And they just confronted the individual because they didn't want to put up with something that didn't add up. And that is what became their demise. Because look at this. When everyone in a community puts up with something that doesn't add up, when everyone in a community puts up with violence and you refuse that violence, now the community that puts up with the violence will become violent against you. Let's say that everyone in a community tolerates parents abusing them. If someone is your mother or father, they have a right to treat you in every ugly way possible. Let's say that in a community, everyone tolerates that from their parents. And then you have one girl that says, no, 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 I don't take this that. She really makes it plain and verbal, she doesn't take it. And she shouldn't. And she's right. She is right. By her doing that, she is shedding light on the filth of that community. Sooner or later, some of her peers, other girls in the community, will begin to hate her. Why? Because all of them tolerate psychological abuse from their parents. That one girl doesn't. So now her good action will reflect back on them because they all tolerate things they shouldn't tolerate. So now they'll feel bad about themselves. But because she's open and clear that she doesn't take that from her parents, now they'll turn on her. Now they'll project all their blame onto her, and before you know it, one of those other women attack her. Or she ends up as a homicide victim. That is how it goes in this world. When you don't submit and allow yourself to be victimized by the violence of the world, those that do put up with it will turn on you, they'll become violent with you and will be violent against you. They will not become violent against the violence. They'll become violent at you for not putting up with the violence like they do. That's why you often say that young children have a big mouth. Because realize one thing, children are quite aware. When you have adults who are out of line or adults that are creepy, children sense it and children are very clear about it. But society tells them that they shouldn't have a big mouth, that they need to comply. That's where this whole concept of a big mouth comes from. People don't want you to challenge them when they are out of line. If they're humble, they will be glad that you challenge them because that keeps them healthy. But they don't care about their own health nor their own well-being. They just want to be validated and relieved. And when you challenge them, they'll turn on you. That's how people are in this world. That is how they are. And if people assigned the scapegoat role to you, especially then, they shouldn't talk back and challenge people. They've chosen to give you the role as the scapegoat, so they want someone, they need someone to victimize. They assign that role to you. You better shut up and take all their frustration, or else you're finished. That's how people are in this world. That is why I tell you, avoid confrontation as much as possible, because even if they can't kill you, they will cause unnecessary trouble for you by becoming violent. If they can't be violent against you, they'll spread rumors about you, smear campaigns. They'll do a lot of crap just because you won't put up with their negative wills. A lot of people that are the subject of cold cases, they made the fatal mistake to confront worldlings that are delusional. Some worldlings, you can confront them and they'll be happy, but that's rare. Many worldly people are delusional. And delusional people, when you challenge them, they'll kill you. Because delusional people are all about avoiding and avoiding. They're obsessed with avoiding and running away. So the moment you confront them, all the running away has been for nothing. And now all that pain that's banded up inside of them, all that pain that's accumulated over time, it will be triggered and someone is going to die around them. That's how it goes with delusional people. So with every cold case, ask yourself, what is it that the community is hiding? And realize this, whenever there's something that the community is hiding, and you figure out what it is they're hiding, I'm recommending you not to speak about it. Because you're a believer, you walk by faith, so they can't kill you, but they can cause unnecessary affliction for you that you don't have to go through. Sometimes believers can avoid things by just being wise as a serpent. You can't avoid all affliction, because we will go through affliction during this lifetime. Unbelievers go through affliction at each other's hands, and believers will be persecuted because we walk by faith. But even then, there are things we can avoid by just being clever. When you are in a community, let's say you are at a job, at work, or let's say you're at a local church, or you are wherever you are, pay close attention to what people don't talk about. Because when there is an elephant in the room, when there is something that people want to avoid, you will notice that nobody talks about it. So don't pay attention only to what people are saying. Pay attention to what they're not saying. Let me give an example to you. Let's say that you have a guy. He is a boxer. And people make a documentary about him, about his life, where he grew up and all of that. So you look at a documentary and you think, whoa, this guy's a boxer. He came from the ghetto, he came from the hood, but he made it. Now he's living in a good neighborhood with his wife and his children. Okay. You watch documentary, you saw his life story, his success, good. Where are all his peers from high school? Where are his peers from college? Where are his relatives? He grew up somewhere with other people. He didn't fall from the sky. If he did, he's a fallen angel, but he's not. He came out of a woman. He was born like all of us. He grew up somewhere because he was a little baby once. So he didn't end up like that by himself. There were people on the way that helped him become what he is today. And some of those people spoke in a documentary, his coach, one of his best friends. But what about the people that grew up with him, his peers? Why aren't any of them talking about him? And when you look at the documentary, you realize that it is as if they don't really want to talk about his high school period or his period as college. Then you think, why is that? Those are your formative years. Why aren't they talking about it? And then you know, people don't talk about it because during college or during high school, people look down on him. And now that he outshines them, there's contention against him. But people don't want to face this. They don't want to face the fact that he shook off the bad expectations of others and moved on. People don't want to face this. Because if they have to come and admit that they had bad expectations about them, they don't need to explain why, and they can't explain why. So there are a lot of people that want to avoid the fact that this boxer is now a successful boxer. But he can't undo time. He has become that successful boxer despite their violence. And now because they don't want to face their violence, especially not that they have been defeated in their violence, now none of them want to talk about that boxer. So but when you notice that, you'll notice, okay, this boxer needs to watch out. Because sooner or later, one of those people who's angry with the situation, with how he turned out, may decide to look him up and do something. And he has children. They may come after his children. Or some of the people that are against him, they may have children, and those children may do the dirty job for their parents. So you realize that, oh, the people from his high school or from his college don't really like to talk about them. Oh, okay, so there's something going on. They're hiding something. When you sense that the community is hiding something, then know that the thing that they're hiding is something that if it comes out, then it will be an embarrassment. There will be loss of honor, loss of relationships. So people keep it hidden. So wherever you go, believer, listen to what people are saying and detect what they're not saying. You can learn a lot from what people are not saying. If you are, let me say, even in movies, they tell you this. If someone turned out to be a raging psycho, he picking up guns, shooting people, and they talk about how he mistreated his ex-girlfriends and all of that. Okay, let's talk about all the people that abused him as a child, that didn't look at him when he asked for help. Look at all the people on the way who shaped him, because he didn't raise himself. He wasn't born by his own will. He grew up somewhere. So if he was formed in a bad way and he eventually became this raging psychopath, there were people that helped shaping him to what he has become. Let's talk about those people. Oh, we don't want to do that because we don't want to take responsibility as a community. You see it, believer? That's how it goes in this world. So when you are somewhere, pay attention to what's being said, but also what's not being said. Because what's not being said reveals what's really going on. Too often we pay attention to what's being said that we don't realize, hold on a minute, there are things that are unsaid. That are not said, let's give another example. Let's say you have people in a community that they are opposed to the regional politics. They're opposed to it. And they keep campaigning against a political party. Okay, but you never hear them talk about their plans, how they're going to do things different. So then you think, hold on a minute. You keep mentioning the corruption of this political party. Okay, that's true. But how will you deal with the issues they have to deal with? Oh, they have no idea. Or let me give another example. If you have a guy or a girl, or let's say you have someone with success, they have some leverage in daily life, and you have people that keep criticizing them, why are they criticizing the individual? Often, when you wait long enough, people will confess why they're really criticizing someone. There is a scholar from the black community. He is hated by many black people. They even claim he's a fraud, even though his PhD has been published in the repository of the university. You can't see this on embargo, but he has his PhD. But they keep claiming he has no PhD, that he's a crack addict and all of that. So they keep mentioning his flaws. And sometimes they make up flaws about him. But what are they not talking about is that this scholar has been traveling around the United States and abroad teaching black people about white supremacy and how they can defend their children against it. That is something that everyone in the black community should be doing. Why isn't it happening? So the fact that this scholar, even though he's a pagan, so he doesn't follow Christ, he addresses things that ought to be addressed, that reveals that there is a big defect in the black community that people don't want to face. And because he addresses it, now they're all upset with him and they need to paint him black because he's revealing their defects. He's revealing their neglect. Now, I'm not going to say who I'm talking about. Those that know who I'm talking about know it. But that's how it goes in this world. So, when it comes to cold cases, use your discernment. What is the community hiding? Because every community in the world has something to hide. Individuals may have nothing to hide, that's true, but communities in this world always have something to hide. So pay attention to what's not being said. When you notice what's not being said, then you know what's going on. And now you can anticipate on this. Don't you know that many people, let's say I say many because there are quite some on the earth, there are many people out there. The reason why they survive violence in the world is because they pay attention to what's not being said. For example, if you have parents, but they never told you that they loved you, that they care about you, anything like that, they know that those parents have issues. So if you avoid them as a young adult, you avoid a lot of contention. Or if you have a friend who has a wife, and you notice that the wife seldom talks about her past and her side of the family, they know, okay, something's up here. And when you realize that your friend doesn't really interest himself much in in his family, in his in-laws, they don't think, okay, dude, what's going on? You should know what you're dealing with, right? So then you realize, oh, okay, something's wrong with this couple. I need to keep my distance so I won't become a target. That is why busybodies, so people that quote unquote mind other people's business in the world, they're not liked in the world. Those busybodies, that's why busybodies, despite they're not liked, they're often safe. Busybodies often survive a lot of stuff, or they manage to escape a lot of stuff because they look at what's not being said. I don't agree with them involve themselves in all matters. That's not wise, but I do admire that they are alert and that they take action on their own behalf. That is something believers ought to do ought to do more often. So, if even busybodies and those that spread rumors, I'm not talking about those who conduct smear campaigns. I'm talking about those busybodies who share information they found out about people. Such people are often much wiser in their daily lives than many believers. That's why, despite the fact that people can't stand them, nobody attacks them. Why? Because if they are attacked, then everyone's going to ask, okay, what did he or she knew? And then because they were attacked, now people really want to know what that individual knew. So whoever has something to hide, they know that if they attack a busybody, people are going to ask why. And then it's more likely that what they're trying to hide is going to come out. That's why busybodies are often left alone. They are practical. We should be more practical than they are. So, I'm going to say it one more time. Pay attention to what's not being said. That reveals what's going on. Well, that's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.